Tell me all your thoughts on God, 'cause I'd really like to meet her and ask her why we're who we are. And tell me all your thoughts on God, 'cause I'm on my way to see her. So tell me, am I very far? Am I very far now? Am I very far now?
Hey everyone! So I have decided to go ahead and sit down and finally make this video because I was asked about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. This was a video that I've actually been debating on making for quite some time, but I was scared that people would misunderstand. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say, screw it and do it. So, on one of my previous lives for Drunken Divinations, I got a question in regards to lower frequency energies or beings, spirits, beings, and how she could take care of them. I think I've explained it in a decent amount of detail in one of my past videos from years back, but I'll probably be remaking that video as I have learned and experienced more dealing with spirits and entities in general. So as a recap of my belief system and how it pertains to spirits, energies, etc. I believe in a similar to everything exists on top of each other at the same time. I do very much believe in different dimensions, but in these dimensions, each dimension or what have you, I believe the matter and the energy that we experience and that these things experience, that we have certain frequencies. I say frequencies as a lack of a better term. We'll start with what we're familiar with, the earthly realm or the earthly dimension, if you will. We here, living beings on Earth, experience a multitude of frequencies that all pertain to, you can kind of think of it as like what's perceivable to the naked eye in a way. You know, there's frequencies of light and there's frequencies of sound, and we can only experience or interact knowingly with a certain band of, you know, a certain area of all the frequencies, you know, scientifically out there and available for us to interact with. And in my study, craft, experience, it works sort of the same ways. So you can think of the spirits, you can, if you want to categorize them, you can think of, you know, earthly frequency spirits as being spirits of fae, dead people in general, ancestors. There are also what I would call lower frequency beings, which would be what Christians would call demons, malicious things. And then you've got your higher frequencies, which are mostly your spirit guides, your deities, your angels, things of that nature. With that being said, I personally do not believe that certain things can cross over to our frequency and stay here. As an example, we'll just call them vibrations. So high vibrations can only do so much when they cross over into this vibration, if they can. And the same thing goes for the low vibrations. Like, there's only so much they can do. And there are frequencies that are so high or so low that our frequency will never experience them unless we cross that frequency and go to their turf. Does that make sense? For example, in order for us to communicate with a spirit guide or of a deity of a certain frequency, we have to raise our energy to that frequency to be able to interact with them or communicate. With that being said, the question at hand is about lower vibrational spirits or entities, and she said, can you answer a question for me? Why are these lower entities around, and why do they bother humans? I struggle with them every day and night for quite a few years. I'm changing the wording. I have no one to help. I just want some clarification. I listened to you the other night, but I didn't go into the live chat. Thank you in advance. So first of all, also let me go ahead and plug in and say, don't be afraid to join the live chat. If, you know, sometimes there's comments just going through and going through and going through, and usually no matter what, I'll try and address it. If I don't, like especially during drunken divinations, if I'm too drunk, do what Warrior Girl did, make a comment, send me an email. My link tree I'm going to be putting at the end of in the description of all my videos. My link tree will have all my social medias, all that, so you guys can get a hold of me. Guys and gals and those in between can get a hold of me and ask me questions. So thank you, Warrior Girl, for your question. So in regards to why they bother humans. So again, the lower entities that we experience are actually earthly, or the low vibrational beings that we experience are usually earthly vibrational spirits. So this could be shadow people, this could be, you know, past dead, this could be some type of elemental. I mean, it could be, if we just look at the frequency, it could be a number of things that's bothering you. 9 times out of 10, it's something that you create or something that you attract. So being a witch, you more than likely know you have certain abilities. You're sensitive to certain things, you can do things that people who do not practice or study do. So being a witch, more than likely it is 2 things. It could either be some sort of poltergeist or a branch off in a way of some sort of activity that you yourself are putting out, whether it be knowingly or unknowingly, subconsciously, if you will. Now, usually this happens to people with PK abilities who have no clue and have no clue how to control it. This could be you, but it could also be something that I usually experience, which is what I call a visitor. So some of us who are sensitive will attract, we're kind of like lights in the dark to a moth, right? They come to us like bugs at night to a porch light, you know, and they just because they're curious, or, you know, they know that you can see or experience them and they want to have that experience with you, what have you. So I just call those visitors. I just call those my visitors. Mostly dead people, right? And I say dead people too. I don't like ghosts, and I don't like, so dead people. Visitors, if you will. And then of course, there's the chance that it is in fact a lower vibrational spirit or entity, which dead people can be, in my opinion. I mean, dead people are people just like us, and they have choices to raise their vibrational frequencies just like we do, so it's very possible. But 9 times out of 10, it is not something that was never human. Right? So 9 times out of 10, you're experiencing something human of nature, at least in my experience. The Fae, could be, but more than likely they don't want anything to do with us, because most of them don't like us unless they want to take something from you or eat you.
¿Sois vos?
Or something. It's possible, it's always possible, but in my experience, if you want to work with Fae, you have to seek that out. Unless you have something that they want, they usually don't really care. But anyway, more than likely, if it's in your home and it's bothering you, maybe 8 times out of 10, I would say it's of human nature. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not dangerous, because there are a lot of low vibrational entities and spirits that are dangerous. So you definitely do want to get rid of those. And usually when they start to find your triggers or they start to get a certain interaction out of you, that's what you have to worry about. Basically, what we're talking about right now is some sort of, for lack of a better term, exorcism.
It's the power of Christ that compels you. That the power of Christ compels you.
So I have a list of things that you can use to kind of help you with that. And this is only if you don't have access to a paid professional to come and do this for you, because there are people out there that this is their everyday job. You know, they go to places that are having issues and they will determine what the problem is and they will dispose of it or give you more information to make it easier for you to dispose of it. So this is just stuff that I've found in my studies that help me. A lower vibration being cannot sustain itself in a higher vibration. So in order for it to grow and for it to survive, for lack of a better term, it has to continue to make its environment a vibration that matches its own, so it can continue to be sustained. So this is why a lot of lower vibrational entities or spirits will scare people, will give nightmares, will, you know, feed off of fear. I mean, they're literally a type of, you can think of them like a parasite. So the goal is to raise your vibrations so that these things can't function and do what they need to do to survive, or they'll leave you the hell alone. So there's multiple ways we can do that. I've gone through one of my favorite books, which is the Magical Encyclopedia of Herbs by Scott Cunningham. And I literally just wrote down some quick notes for herbs that pretty much I think everybody would have access to for pretty cheap. And I've also wrote down a few of my personal gemstones that I've used, and also some things that you can just naturally do to raise your vibrations. So as far as natural things that you could do, really basically anything that gives you good feelings or good vibes, literally, because that's the goal, that's what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to raise yourself out of that state of stagnant or low vibrations. So this could be something as simple as lighting a candle, lighting incense, which would work really great. I sometimes just do that just out of the blue when I do whatever, just to give the mood a certain flavor or give the energy a certain flavor. A big one that I would suggest that's really mundane is cleaning your house. Because if your house is cluttered or messy, it's going to attract low vibrational entities. In and of yourself, your energy will be much better if you do clean your space. Obviously, if your space is messy, you want to get that cleaned up first and foremost, because that is a big one.
Hello, kiddies. I'm Polly the puppet. What shall we do today? I know. Let's all clean our rooms.
Hello, Polly. I'll clean my room in exchange for your immortal soul.
Do something creative. If you want to, raise your vibrations up a bit, I find that creativity for me connects me to my patron and also my matron most of the time. So just doing something creative, whether that be just coloring in a coloring book, or drawing, or writing poems, or writing a script, or doing like graphic design, even editing a photo on your phone, you know, take a selfie, edit, just work at something to really flex that creative bone, because that in and of itself, I find for me personally, raises my vibrations. A big one you can also do is meditation or prayer. Obviously, this is going to raise your vibrations. It's going to, you know, help you get in contact with those higher vibrational spirits and spirit guides and allies, and that's a huge one. I've also found personally that if you learn to care for and go out and get you some houseplants, I find that houseplants have their own energies and magical properties even. I know a lot of witchy YouTubers who keep specific plants in their home for specific reasons, but for me, just having living plants in general brings that earthly grounding vibes and keeps me at a good point inside of the home. And we'll get on to more of that when we talk about herbs. Another one I want to talk about is dancing. Let's say that your home just needs a good burst of energy. You need something to just raise the vibrations of the home and yourself. Turn on some music, put on a random playlist, and no matter what it is, dance it out. Just dance your head off, because it's also something that can just mundanely raise your vibrations. Even just listening to music, if you turn on a specific type of music that you enjoy, as long as in your heart and your energy core, you're feeling higher, you're raising your own vibrations, it will do the same for the energy around you and in the home. There's some everyday herbs, or what I would consider kind of everyday or easy access herbs that we could talk about, that each have their own little thing with them. Now, I'm specifically talking about herbs known or having a history of exorcism or dispelling evil or negative entities or energies. I've also found that if you use some of these techniques, and for example with visitors that I've had, you don't have to necessarily do things drastically. Sometimes you can just voice your energy out. You can just make it known. I can't tell you how many times I've given, you know, certain visitors just a certain look, or, you know, literally told them to get the fuck out. You don't belong here.
Don't be afraid to shout it. That's my purse! Try it again. That's my purse! I don't know you!
Just as long as you put that energy behind it, make sure that they know that you're serious. That alone can raise the energy inside of yourself and inside of your home. Because I think we mentioned it on a live a while back, that there's just something about kicking your first unwanted visitor out that's just empowering, and it makes you feel, ooh, it just gives you that boost, that confidence, right? So just, I mean, you don't have to do a huge ritual or do something ritually to expel things. But if it helps, do it. You know, because like meditation and prayer, for a lot of us, spell work and ritual work raises our vibrations. So if you find that that's something that you would benefit from, you might as well run with it, right? So as far as herbs, I've got them in alphabetical order with some, and again, I went through Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs to kind of pinpoint some of these, and I've also put my own little notes in them. So to start with, I'm going to talk about basil. Basil is actually a really good one. To me, basil has a sun energy. It has a light, like bring me light type of vibe. I always grew basil in the garden with the tomatoes, which is also another herb or fruit, if you will, that just would always give me like this light, this energy, like this bursting positive energy. It reminds me of summer. sunshine. It literally tastes like sunshine, that sort of thing. So that's just me and my personal feelings, but apparently basil incense drives evil away, which I'll also say the basil smells really good. And you can strewn it across a floor to prevent evil from stepping foot inside of the home, basically exorcising the evil out of the home. Another one is cloves. Cloves is often burned as an incense to drive away hostile and negative forces. Cinnamon, I think some people use cinnamon to do the same thing. Clover, in general, any clover, whether it be red, white, what have you, if worn in the left shoe and forgotten, will keep away all evil. Fern is a good one. Dried fern thrown on hot coals drives evil spirits away. If you use charcoal, that's a hot coal. So if you just want to use dried fern as an incense. Really good one is garlic. Garlic is a big one, being sacred to Hecate. It's said that garlic can absorb ailments and would be left as a sacrifice to Hecate. If evil spirits are about, bite into garlic to send them away, or you can sprinkle powdered garlic on the floor in the home. So that's a pretty good one. Sprigs of any mint can be used with rosemary to sprinkle salt water across the home to purify it and rid it of evil. That's kind of taking into two accounts. You're using the oils from the sprigs and also the salt water mixed to literally cleanse the home. I love that idea. Nettle carried as a sachet wards off dead people specifically. So any unwanted dead, or if you want to go about your normal day without anybody getting in your ear and, hey, I got something to tell you.
Shh. We've been trying to contact you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Or just bugging you in general. I've never used that before, but I may have to save that one. It looks like it's also spread around the home to ward off evil. Onion was a really interesting one. It worked kind of the same way as garlic. So you can shield the home against evil by growing onion, but you could also halve or quarter onion and place it around in the home to absorb negativity, evil, and disease, and then later dispose of it. Now you'd specifically, I guess, want to burn the onion. Peach tree branches are used in China to drive off evil spirits, and the pit of a peach is also worn in China to keep demons away. Pepper, when mixed with salt and scattered about the property, dispels evil. I'm gonna come for TikTok really quick. There's a lot of people, especially after my black salt video, that just didn't understand why black salt does anything. Why the charcoal does anything. Well, this is a good example. Part of a possible ingredient that you can use in black salt is black pepper, and it's known to help banish negative energies. And if you don't believe that's true, or if you don't have anything in your practice saying that makes sense or what have you, that's great. Don't come for everybody else though, because it's valid, okay? Just gonna throw that out there. Pine needles can also purify a space of evil if scattered on the floor, but they can also be burned to do the same thing, even send spells back to the casters. So I knew about that, and I wanted to go ahead and add that as well, that you can literally use pine, the spirit of pine, to send back spell. Rosemary is a huge one. Oh my gosh, guys, rosemary. So rosemary is smoldered to rid a place of negativity and can also aid in healing. It said rosemary bound to the right arm helps dispel depression and makes emotions light. So rosemary is an herb that I am very well accustomed to. The spirit of rosemary and I have worked together for a number of years. I actually use English rosemary, English lavender, and garden sage. Those are my chosen smoldering herbs or saging herbs, because sage is, to me, a it wipes the slate clean. It literally takes the energy in the space and it levels it. There's a storm blowing in, so if it gets a little dark, that's why. But it literally levels all of the energy in a space. I use lavender to attract prosperity, good wishes, and also help with that purification. Lavender is also said to be masculine, so I like having that, but also to me, I have a decent relationship with lavender. I use lavender for almost anything. I would also use lavender for an exorcism, probably, but that's just me. And my relationship with lavender, I could probably use lavender for pretty much anything, but that's just me. But rosemary I use not only for the purification and the exorcism aspect, but also because of the healing aspect. Lavender to me also is a good mind calmer, so just in and of that. So I love lavender, rosemary, and garden sage. They're my besties. Thistle is strewn in the home or in buildings to exorcise it of evil. We're gonna continue because all I have left are stones. So stones, I'm actually not a pro. I thought I brought my stone in here that I wear. Stones for me that are really useful. I'm not huge on stones. I actually hardly grab a crystal for a specific purpose, but I will sometimes, depending on what it is. So one stone that I know of that a few of my fellow witchy friends and even I have used in the past is smoky quartz. It's actually good for taking negative energy and transmuting it or purifying it into a higher energy vibration. Another one that's really good for similar purposes is black onyx. Black onyx is also a really good protection crystal or stone as well. It also helps with grounding. So if you have issues grounding your energies, you can use it for that same thing. Another crystal that you can use to actually raise your vibration is selenite. I use selenite to purify all my crystals and kind of recharge them, get them to a good balancing energy in and of themselves. But selenite also raises the energy in the home and purifies negative energies. It's actually literally made of salt. So there's that. Salt, I'm sure, as you know, is a purifier as well. So you could literally just powder some selenite, sprinkle it across your floor, do the same thing as we discussed with some of those herbs, and you're good. Celestite is a personal favorite. I tend to like to keep celestite near my altars or my sacred spaces because it's also known as angelite, and it in and of itself has its own higher frequency. So it's thought to attract spirit guides, angels, deities, stuff like that. So it's really good to just have on hand in the home. And then my personal all-time favorite stone that helps me with visitors, what I'm out and about, is black tourmaline. Now, I am super obsessed with it lately. For me, black tourmaline really grounds energy. I've experienced it literally ground negative energies or even really high, out of control energies. Just literally, I've experienced it just floor the energy. It's said to also be known to swallow negative energies or low vibrations. I also put a note here that it also has iron deposited inside of it. Part of its makeup is iron. So I recently discovered that and I was like, oh, so this could be used to dispel unwanted fae, because fae, they do not like iron. So some low vibrational spirits in other cultural references don't like iron as well, including earthbound low vibrational spirits. So there's that too, or ghosts, if you will. So you could also use that without actually writing out an a spell or a ritual to exorcise the home or raise your vibrations. I hope it was good advice for you, but this was my attempt giving some advice into how to get rid of some of these energies. If you find that you cannot get rid of these energies and none of these tools have helped you, group effort makes a huge difference for me. So if you've got friends and you want to say, hey, come on over and let's do a banishing spell for whatever the hell's in my house, you could try that. And also, you know, never underestimate professional help, actually paying somebody to come inside of your home and working these energies out for you. I recommend not going to the Catholic Church if you are a practicing witch, but that's just my opinion. You do whatever you feel comfortable doing. If you are a Catholic and that is where your faith is housed, then do it, because my point with that is you want to do whatever your spirit, you know, you're not just trying to lift the energies of the home, but you are the energy provider of the home that you live in. So you want to use whatever resonates with you or vibes with you the most, because that's what's going to work. So I hope this helped you, warrior girl. If you or anybody else has any other questions for me, feel free to get a hold of me, make a comment, send me a message, and I'd be more than happy to help you out if I can. So blessed be owlets, and have a great rest of your week.